Production of Ruckus is made possible through the generous support of Dave and Jamie Cummings, the Hartwig family, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to Ruckus, our weekly food for thought fight over the news of the day and the trends of the times. I'm Mike Shannon. The Ruckettes join me shortly, and our topics this week: a judge validates downtown's conventional wisdom, an unconventional threat from the Kansas Supreme Court, and courting votes for and against the earnings tax. Plus, of course, roast and toast. But we start with our interview segment and welcome Titus Bond, Director of Research for Axiom Strategies and Director of the Remington Research Group, a public opinions firm. Both are in Metro Kansas City, both owned by Jeff Rowe, who is garnering positive national attention for his work on the Ted Cruz presidential campaign. Mr. Bond is a native Kansas Citian, a graduate of Rockhurst High School and Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C. Mr. Bond joins us to talk about a staple of political campaigns and a major part of many businesses and industries, polling and public opinion research. Mr. Bond, Titus, welcome to Ruckus. Good to have you with us. How did you get involved in the business of polling? I bet it was in politics.
It was in politics. I started my career in 2002 working for Jeff Rowe and Congressman Sam Graves. And through that journey, I managed a variety of campaigns throughout the years across the country. And, you know, I started to learn about public opinion research, working with vendors, working with other people just through the fray. And in 2014, Jeff had an idea that we would start to experiment with starting our own public opinion research firm.
Is polling and public opinion research the same thing?
Generally the same thing. You have some public opinion research would be the umbrella that covers polling. You'll have focus groups, different types of panel experiments, but polling in a political sense is the gold standard.
You're an executive of both Axiom and Remington.
Yes.
How do you differentiate the two companies?
Well, the Remington Research Group serves as a public polling firm. We have clients that are outside of Axiom that aren't necessarily Axiom clients. There's no real difference in my job duties for either firm. We're owned by the same person. I answer to the same person. So basically it's the letterhead.
How does your polling differ from that done by other companies?
Other companies, well, that's a good question.
Or what's unique about yours?
What's unique about us is we adhere strictly to past turnout patterns and data. So we saw a great example in Kansas in 2014, Greg Orman versus Pat Roberts. Everyone said Greg Orman was going to win.
And you got it right.
We got it right. And I talked to the Wall Street Journal the day after the election, and they kind of said, you know, Vice President Joe Biden came out and said Greg Orman's going to win. He's going to caucus with the Democrats. Every public poll has him winning, you know, by a decent margin. We had him internally up 6 points. You know, every year before Election Day, we bring, you know, all the media personalities in Kansas City into our conference room and we show them the polling results. And we showed them U.S. Senate and governor in Kansas, and they both looked at me like I was crazy. But we got it right because we looked at the past turnout in Kansas for a non-presidential election year, and we looked at the other polling firms, and their turnout demographics were wrong. They had too high Democrats, too high nonpartisans, and never in the history of the state had Republicans turned out that small. So you have a lot of public pollsters, some pollsters in general, that take a little bit too much liberty with their demographic models.
You did a couple of quick polls for us, which
Yes.
we appreciate. You offered to do it. We came up with a couple of questions. How many people did you survey for our poll?
717 likely Kansas City, Missouri general election voters.
And you did this in a couple of days?
A couple days.
All right, let's take a look at the results. One dealt with the mayor of Kansas City, Missouri. The question simply this: do you approve or disapprove of Sly James' job performance as mayor of Kansas City? What were the results?
64% approve, 20% disapprove, and 16% not sure. That is a very strong number for a second-term mayor. And we will see how he utilizes that approval rating in expending political capital over the next couple of years.
Especially with the earnings tax coming up.
Earnings tax, downtown hotel, airport. It'll be interesting to see. He's plus 14%, and he also doesn't have to run for re-election.
All right, let's move quickly to the other poll you did for us. Question: do you support or oppose expanding the Kansas City streetcar? Support What was the answer?
41%.
Oppose?
38.
And have no idea.
20%. So what these numbers tell me on the streetcar specifically, there's no mandate to do it. There's no mandate against it. But supporters of the streetcar have to be a little bit concerned that that number's so far below 50%.
And no election on that particular issue is planned, at least as far as we know at the moment.
And there's probably a reason for that.
What do you hear from Mr. Rowe and Mr. Cruz?
Things are going well down there. Jeff's done a very good job, specifically with organizing, tactics, strategy across the board. So they've overperformed everybody's expectations to point, and that's a win.
Great talking with you. Thanks for coming in.
No problem. Thank you.
That is Titus Bond with Axiom Strategies and Remington Research. Now let's meet the panel and start a ruckus. John Stevens is head of Rock Hill Strategic. Education activist Jamika Kendricks joins the panel for the first time. Welcome. Steve Glorioso is a media and political consultant, and Patrick Toohey is with the Show Me Institute, a libertarian think tank. While it may seem an odd approach to helping students and improving education, the Kansas Supreme Court threatens to close all schools unless the legislature and governor adhere to its most recent ruling. The court, in the latest chapter of this decades-old battle, says the recently imposed block grant system of funding schools is not equitable, that is, not fair. The court says if the legislature does not correct this funding flaw by June 30th, no constitutionally valid school finance system exists. Schools will be unable to operate. Now, in these past battles, the elected officials have submitted, and the court has prevailed. Do you expect that to happen this time? And should it? We'll start with Jamika.
Well, the first question I want to answer is, do I think the legislature should comply? And the answer is absolutely. I think with Brown versus Board of Education, it kind of set up the standard that everybody in Kansas deserves an equal opportunity for education. And considering the relationship between class and race right now, creating a condition where there's a disparity based on property tax wealth is kind of equivalent to that. So I do think that they should comply. Do I expect them to? Yes. But I don't expect them to do it without retaliation like they did in 2014 when the court made a similar ruling.
What can the legislature do to retaliate?
Well, in 2014, they stripped the Supreme Court of their ability to appoint chief judges as well as to do their own budget. So they could go back at the courts because the courts haven't gone along with what they said.
Steve, do you think the Kansas Supreme Court would actually try to close schools, and how would the court make that happen?
The posse, send in a posse. No, I don't know. I was really.
Does it have any power to do so other than just by saying it and assuming people will comply?
Schools are public institutions, and I presume they could.
They're governed by the legislature, though, and by school districts, not by courts.
Well, I'm not being an attorney. I actually was surprised when I read that. But the fact that remains is that I think they could try it. I mean, do we really want to?
They've threatened this before.
Yeah, but do we want to go down this? I mean, this keeps coming back to this incredibly discredited experiment that Brownback has put on us, on the people of Kansas.
It goes back long before Brownback in Kansas, these battles between the legislature and the courts.
It's a dire. They want to cut taxes and they think they can still run government. It failed, and it's failed.
Schools aren't getting less money than they got before.
Yeah, but a lot of it's going to pensions and other things, not classrooms.
You're exactly right. This is
usually
embarrassing, and it's silly because what the court is doing is trying to judge the quality of education by the amount of money we put into it. Now, in Kansas City, Missouri, we spend 1.5 times per student than the state of Kansas does on average on education. Does Kansas City, Missouri have 1.5 times better education? Of course not. But you would have to believe that to agree that the Supreme Court and judging the quality of education by how much money we spend.
I think it comes down to, and this is an extreme step, but I think what the legislature did of locking block grants in for 2 years without a change based on change of enrollment, change of issues, there are variable factors there. And I think one of the biggest issues is, are they acting in good faith? And that's what the courts were saying, is this legislature is not acting in good faith with this block grant model. They were doing it in order to lock in savings because of, as Steve said, a failed tax experiment.
I think it's ridiculous to blame the courts here. I think the courts have given ample time to this legislature to do something because this equity issue has been going on for years.
The legislature has done something, just
they
not
haven't.
what the court
It's all
wants
temporary.
done.
It's all temporary. And when this was introduced, the block grant funding, it was supposed to be for 2 years.
Well,
And
only a year's gone by, or
but
even
they
less
should
than
be
a year.
doing something. They should be doing
They are
something. And if
working
the
on a new
schools have to
plan.
close, it's because over the last 10 years, the legislature didn't do anything.
You know, Steve, it seems to me Kansas needs to come up with a constitutional amendment to define precisely, or more precisely, how schools should be funded. This idea of suitably financing schools really doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense.
but
It's
coming
an
up with the
impossible definition.
Well, but coming up with the right definition, I mean, I'm pretty good at words, and I would say it'd be difficult to do it. And you know what? If they do it, make my day. And Brownback, see what a spanking he takes if he tries to fool with. They're already destroying. You know, it's good to pick on the Kansas School District, but no one argues that the Kansas schools have been good, and they are suffering because of lack of funds. Just look at the teacher retention and all the other indicators.
Let's address that because we've talked about that before. The teacher retention in Kansas is at or above national average. We had this story come out a few months ago where the teachers union said, oh, we're losing teachers, but if you looked at national average, you found there's no problem in Kansas. And there absolutely isn't. We've been spending more every year on education in Kansas. But if you look at the quality of education simply by how much money is spent, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Ballotpedia website says K through 12 education takes 27.7% of the state budget in Kansas. Only 5 states in the nation dedicate larger shares to K to 12. And that doesn't even count the amount spent on the higher education systems in the state.
And therefore, they have really good schools.
And the question
That's
is,
why
where's
people
the
in my
money?
neighborhood move to Kansas when they have kids.
Well, if they're great schools, why are we going through all these battles over financing
Because
them?
they're trying to drill a hole in them. It's part of this right-wing ideology. Let's have private schools and religious schools and fund those. I mean, Brownback is the most unpopular governor in the United States of America for a reason. He's the worst governor in the United States.
I'm going to wrap this up by pointing out, and I think you'll agree, that this current case only involves the question of fairness.
Exactly.
There's yet to come another battle involving whether school financing in the state is adequate. So that battle is yet to come, and the second one will apparently be more costly. This one is in the $50 million bracket. The next one could be as much as $500 million. I don't know where the money comes from, but I guess we'll find out. A Jackson County judge made the ruling simple, but hardly sweet, for plaintiffs wanting a public vote on a planned downtown convention hotel. Judge Jennifer Phillips ruled the proposed ballot language was vague and in conflict with state law. And she added, if the measure had gone to voters and passed, Kansas City would have been in breach of contracts already signed with hotel backers. The petition was the product of activist group Citizens for Responsible Government. Public face of the hotel project is Mike Burke, a prominent attorney and former member of the city council. Burke finished second in the mayor's race in 2011, losing to the current mayor, Sly James. Well, John, we expect our judicial system to be impartial and just. This was insiders versus outsiders. Do you think this case was judged in an adequate manner, a fair manner?
Yeah, I think it was based on the rule of law, based on TIF state precedent, based on state system. And as you said, there was a triptych in the ruling of vague and a potential breach of contract and against state law. And she was very clear, and I think it's the petitioner, CFRG, has the opportunity to appeal, but certainly I think Judge Phillips made it pretty clear in her ruling that she believes that this is pretty airtight.
Do you think it's unlikely CFRG will appeal?
I don't know. I think that, as I have said on this show previously, that I think the legal precedent is pretty weak coming in, and I think Judge Phillips ruled in that favor. But I believe that maybe their motivation is to try to drag this process out in order to, hope that delay will kill a project versus an actual vote.
Well, it is going to delay the project, even what has taken place so far.
It's certainly already delayed it. They would be lucky to break ground by next year.
From what I understood, it was supposed to open in 2018. Now the opening is delayed till at least 2019, so it's moved back about a year.
The thing is, they can appeal, obviously have a right to, but they ought to be careful on this one, because in that decision is a real nugget that if an appellate court upheld it, you cannot take TIFs to referendum anymore. That's what the judge said. That actually what state law maybe
And
that
this
says.
issue was about more than just the convention hotel, right? There were other implications
Well,
in the language.
there were three issues: the breach of contract. It was vague and confusing, but most importantly is the fact that they may get a ruling that would shut down any future referendums. And also, what they need to be careful of: this petition committee of petitioners is not a group. It's not a company. It's 5 individuals. They all could face substantial personal liability if they appeal it and they lose. And the developers say, hey, you cost us $8 million. I'm going to just pick a number, $8 million in a year's delay. And Mr. Coffey and those might want to check their bank account.
Jamika, the city's investing public money in this downtown convention hotel. I don't know the exact amount, $170, $180 million, that ballpark. Is that money well spent in Kansas City?
No, and I honestly, I'm not going to say no, it's not well spent, but I do think with this judgment, it doesn't get to go before the people. I think we ought to have a say in how our money is spent.
Do you think it would have
And I think
passed?
there's enough information coming back saying we're not comfortable with how TIF is being allocated right now for us to take a look at that. And with this judgment, I don't agree that it's going to have an issue with referendums, because this wasn't a referendum petition. It was different than that. And the language in here was vague. It applied to every convention hotel that might be or near a convention downtown. That was the problem. I think that the petitioners need to take this as a lesson learned. One, we need to start lobbying the state to look at what the TIF Act actually says and how we can have more of a say in how those funds are actually used. And two, stop being so vague. When you're going against something that's at the city level, be very specific. It's about this specific project. And so I don't necessarily think it's money well spent, because we haven't been able to get information about how our incentives have actually improved development or given us a return on investment. But I do think it needs to be looked at.
Is this hotel going to attract major conventions, bringing millions of dollars to Kansas City?
No. And Kansas City has a 30-year history of saying, we'll build a hotel, we'll expand a ballroom, and the money will start rolling in. It never rolls in. What we do is we give money to developers, and they take the money and laugh at us. But the problem here is that Kansas City doesn't want to have a vote on their policies. They don't want to have a vote on the convention hotel. They don't want to have a vote on the 17th Street TIF.
Well, you don't expect to vote on every major issue, do
They
you?
don't want to have a vote on the earnings tax. Not necessarily on
Well, they
every
have
issue.
to have a vote on the earnings tax.
But 5
don't
years
want
ago,
to.
but 5 years ago, they opposed it and actually sued to have to
Yes.
make sure the people of Kansas City didn't have a vote.
Yes.
And so what the city is doing is saying, never mind, let us have our way. But the people are looking at where the money's being spent in
John,
Kansas
you
City,
used
and
to
they're not
work with
happy.
Visit KC,
Yes, absolutely.
Convention and Visitors Bureau at one time. Is this going to attract millions of dollars to Kansas City, major conventions?
It definitely is a benefit to convention and tourism, and there is a return on investment. There is about $42 per dollar invested, public dollar invested, in a return on conventions and tourism to Kansas City. We are seeing an upswing. We do need to continue that. Also, I would say we talk about this hotel, and yes, I am the first one to say, stop saying that everything is a home run when we do economic development. We have to stop saying that. This is incremental steps to grow.
Despite what Jamika says, you believe it's money well spent.
I do think it's money well spent.
All right. The opening salvo in the ad wars over the April earnings tax election has been fired. Opponents take to radio and target African Americans and other minorities, saying Mayor Sly James is using scare tactics, such as the threat of higher property taxes, job losses, and police reductions, to keep attention away from the facts. The commercials say the mayor never mentions the considerable money given to wealthy real estate developers, money taken from the working poor. The possibility of action in the state legislature to eliminate the earnings tax now seems unlikely, so apparently Kansas Cityans will make the decision on April the 5th. The earnings tax, another name simply for income tax, takes 1% of earnings from everyone working or living in Kansas City, Missouri. Now, when the issue was voted on 5 years ago, it won overwhelmingly, something like 78%. Is there serious reason to expect a different outcome this time? Let's start with Patrick with the Show Me Institute, founded by Rex Singfield, who is, of course, opposed to the earnings tax.
I think you need only look at the city council and the mayor's actions these last few weeks to gauge what public perception is. I think the mayor and proponents of the earnings tax absolutely are afraid that the numbers are going to be different this time around. And a documentary on KCPT basically shamed the city council and the city government into changing their policies on blight, changing their policies on TIF, because people are looking at how much money we spend in taxes and what we get for it, and they're absolutely not pleased.
Those things are being changed to influence how people on the east side vote on the earnings tax?
I think absolutely,
It's
absolutely
not just
they are.
coincidental that these major efforts have been made now?
Yeah, no kidding. We're shocked.
Just asking.
It is absolutely disappointing that this is what it takes. That this is what it takes to change policy in Kansas City and to get our leaders to pay attention to what's going on the east side, which has been a problem for decades.
All right, Steve Glorioso, you're working with Progress
Mm-hmm.
KC as a consultant, I assume, and Progress KC wants to see the earnings tax renewed. So let me ask you the same question I asked Patrick. Do you see any reason to believe the outcome will be dramatically different than 5 years ago?
No, I actually, so far, we're about on schedule where we were 5 years ago. We have at least 25 neighborhood associations have endorsed it. NAACP has endorsed it. There's been several, both business and community groups that have endorsed it. And I think, our polling shows it's pretty strong. It is a total misnomer to say that, the poor, to have the Show Me Institute funded by the billionaire saying that it's a burden on working people. It's not. It is, if we had lost it, and we lost 40% of the general fund, that's huge. Think if you lost 40% of your business, income in your business, we'd have to resort to sales and property and utility taxes. Secondly, retirees don't pay it. They pay zero amount. And if this were to be defeated, they would have to start paying. So it's a relatively fair tax. The alternative is catastrophic.
Jamika, what do you think about the earnings tax? Do you think it's a plus for Kansas City?
I think right now it's needed. But I do think that there is a push to make sure that our city government is using our tax dollars more efficiently. And this was originally a temporary fix, and it's just continued to go on. And so I do think that our city needs to, I want it to pass, I'm going to put that out there, but I do think we need to think about ways or strategies we can utilize to make ourselves less dependent on the earnings tax.
Do you sense there's more opposition this time around than 5 years ago?
I don't. There could be. I know there are some people who are afraid because, we do have all this stuff coming up about TIF and people are paying attention now. So I do think that will have an impact, but not significant.
Still possible there could be state action regarding the earnings tax in Kansas City, do you know?
Certainly. I mean, given what's going on, as it moves through Jefferson City, Kansas City could come back into play in this. I think it shouldn't. I think legislating, at the state level on neighborhood community issues, these are issues best addressed through, you have elections, you have 12 city council members and a mayor that stand for public election. It needs to be addressed through that. We need to do more.
Go around the table quickly. Pass or fail?
Pass.
How much percentage-wise?
It'll pass by 15 points.
Mika, pass or fail?
Pass, don't know percentage.
Steve?
Yes, over 70 or higher.
Patrick?
I have no idea.
That's why, because we're on tape, you don't want to run it back.
I used to be a pollster. So
Thanks for that definitive response. And now it's time for Roast and Toast, where the Rockettes offer spears or cheers to people and events in the news. We begin with Steve Glorioso.
Yes, I would like to toast African Americans. In a recent poll, I think it just came out in the last 24 hours, they say they believe the GOP Senate are exhibiting racism when they're saying President Obama has no right to name a Supreme Court judge to replace Scalia. This feeling started when Obama was first elected, and the GOP for 5 years questioned his legitimacy on the so-called birther issue. Now the GOP claim, including from Roy Blunt, is that our first black president only gets a 3-year term, not a 4-year term like all the white presidents. And the GOP wonders why they don't get African American support.
Jamika.
I would like to toast the BNIM TIF petitioners. I am toasting them not because BNIM failed, but because they use that to leverage the city, to make the city council actually look at our development incentive policies and ensure that we are not neglecting our blighted areas while developing our conservation areas, and that we are supporting both our schools and development at the same time. And so thank you for your work, and it worked out.
Patrick.
Well, I would like to toast question 1 itself, which we will decide as a city on April 5. It is absolutely time that Kansas City start examining its own values and make sure that our tax system, the money we collect and where it goes, if it goes to Steve's friends who are millionaires and billionaires in Kansas City to develop, or if it goes to pay for basic services like education, roads, and infrastructure. So this is a absolutely important debate for us to have, and it shouldn't stop on April 5th.
I want to be Steve's friend and be a millionaire or
All those
billionaire.
billionaires.
John.
Those people.
I would like to toast the FTC and federal regulators for finally indicting Scott Tucker. His AMG group of companies are clearly some of the worst actors in an already highly questionable field of payday lending, creating obstacles and actively preventing people from paying off their loans, establishing multiple business entities on tribal lands in order to avoid state and local laws, all while profiting hundreds of millions of dollars and racing in Europe. Glad to see him move forward on that.
And finally, here is a roast to Jim Gilmore. And if you say, who is Jim Gilmore? You do so with very good reason. The former governor of Virginia got into the GOP presidential primary late, surely aware he had absolutely no chance to win anything. In the Iowa caucus, he received a stunning 133 votes. The winner received more than 100,000. It took Gilmore, who steadily polled at below 1% until late last week, to finally fathom that he needed to exit the race. He had no good reason to get in, and every reason you can think of to get out. I'm glad he finally did. And so that is Ruckus for this week. We're back next Thursday evening at 7. Now for the Ruckettes and the crew, I'm Mike Shannon saying thanks very much for watching and good night.